I love hot hatchbacks, and I also live in the city of London, which means I need to do a lot of city driving. So today I'm going to talk to you about 10 city cars that you can buy for under £10,000, some nice cheap hot hatchbacks if you will. Some of them not very hot, some of them very hot, but they're all city cars. And if you want to see the same video again at half the price, hit the like button, 1,000 likes and I'll make that video. And if you're one of the 77% of people that haven't subscribed, hit subscribe. Let's get straight into the video. Let's get started with the least hot hatch on this list, but a car that won Best City Car of the Year on release in 2018, the Kia Picanto GT-Line S, which probably doesn't even reach warm hatch by today's standards, but hear me out. This car gained a fair bit of notoriety when it appeared on the Grand Tour, rest in peace, used in an office racing event because of how agile and fun it is to drive, which is exactly what hot hatches are all about. If you've seen some of my recent reviews, I haven't been that blown away by cars like the A45 AMG and Golf R, because yeah, they're fast, but they're not that much fun. This is all about fun. It comes with a 1.25 litre inline-4 engine, putting out just 83 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 11.6 seconds, so as I said, it's very slow, but in the city, that's plenty. It's all about 0 to 30. £7,500 enough to get you into one, and 10k gets you a 2018 example with 30k on the clock. The best thing about these is the 7-year warranty, which those 2018 ones will now be close to the end of, but still pretty sick. Next up, we're jumping forwards more than 2 seconds to 60, but jumping down to the smallest car on the list, the smart ForTwo Brabus Xclusive from the 3rd generation ForTwo that also has the smallest engine, a 0.9 litre turbocharged inline-3, making 107 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 9.2 seconds. Again, not super fast, but for city driving, it's pretty perfect. It doesn't weigh much with those small dimensions, 880 kgs to be exact, but I would actually say that's still quite heavy when you consider that's 20 kgs less than an Alfa 4C, which is a fair bit bigger. This car was actually designed and developed alongside the 3rd generation Renault Twingo, which it shares 70% of its parts with, but somehow it's even smaller. And with that size comes a lot of fun. Most reviews really rate the fact that this smart was a turn away from previous smarts where you had to be super smooth with every input, swapping that out instead for a car that you can throw around as the agile little hot hatch it's supposed to be. Just watch out for some known gearbox issues. These run you around 9.5k at the bottom end, making it the most expensive car on the list, so at 10k you're looking at a 2018 model with 80k on it. It's certainly one of the coolest cars on this list and one of the most true old school hot hatch formulas, the VW Up GTI, which is probably the closest modern car to the old Mark I Golf GTI as you can possibly get into in terms of size, power and concept. Much of that comes from the little 1 litre turbocharged inline-3 engine, which makes 113 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 8.5 seconds, which is actually around the same 0 to 60 as that Mark I GTI. This car has somehow managed to hold value really well for a really long time, making it a bit of an enthusiast car still through to today. The formula is the same as any other GTI, the tartan interior, uprated everything and focus on fun, with the benefit of being pretty modern too. It was only cancelled in 2023, so had a reasonably long run, and I think out on the roads they'd be a pretty cool daily driver in the city. £9,250 will get you into one of these, and they've only just recently dropped below 10k, and for that 10k you'll get a 2019 model with 95k on the clock. Even better, thus far reliability has been pretty ideal on these outside of a few recalls. The Twingo was for a time the most common rental car in Europe, but a car that's significantly less common is this, the Twingo Renault Sport Cup, the fastest version of the fastest version of the Twingo. It comes with a 1.6 litre inline-4 engine, makes 131 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 8.4 seconds, pretty good for a car that starts at around £2,500 and you don't need to spend anywhere near 10k to get a nice one, like this 2010 one that's done 12,000 miles. The Twingo in Cup spec is known to be incredibly stiff, so if you're after something comfortable this probably isn't for you, but if, like me, you want an agile little race car for the roads, it's pretty ideal. The Cup also trimmed a bunch of weight off, which combines with that Cup chassis and the more aggressive overall look to the car beautifully. I don't think this is the kind of car that will turn any heads on the average public roads, but just know that the odd enthusiast will probably give it a second look. With that stiffness, the main problem noted on forums has come from things rattling off, like the tailgate and the ball joints perishing. Vauxhall are known for their VXR or OPC hot hatches and other fast cars, but their short-lived Adam never got a VXR model. Instead, we got the Voxal Adam S that's basically the next best thing, with a lot of the VXR formula smashed into a significantly smaller frame. At its core, it has a 1.4-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine that makes 147 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 8.2 seconds, and it definitely helps that I've always thought the car came with some seriously good looks too. It was inspired by the Adam R2 rally car, which was built to race in the European Rally Championship in the junior classes. I think the Adam R2 is a properly cool car, so the fact that it inspired the S can't be a bad thing, with the S gaining its wider wheel arches and more aggressive overall looks. The main problem with it is the price. It was almost £18,000 new, which is unreasonable for a small city warm hatch, let's be real, especially one that has been known to have fuel pump issues. They'll run you around 5k at the bottom end now, and double that gets you a 2018 model with 38,000 miles on the clock. So I hope you guys are enjoying this video. If you are, then do hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're new. And let me know in the comments down below, what is the right amount of power for a hot hatchback? I'd love to hear your thoughts. As a hugely biased Alfa Romeo fan, I've always loved the Alfa Romeo MiTo Quadrifolio and genuinely considered one as a daily driver a couple of years ago. In fact, as a Londoner who now owns an Alfa, it could still be a great daily to replace the Polo, who knows. Anyway, I digress. This car looks great and is basically a rebodied Abarth 500, meaning you get a 1.4-litre turbocharged inline-4 that makes 167 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 7.3 seconds. Not too bad for a car of its size. The one thing that effectively drives the price of these cars right now, strangely, is the seats. It has a set of carbon back bucket seats in some of them, which look incredibly cool, but are known to be quite uncomfortable. Those seats go for like 2k on eBay, so owners of bucketed cars know what they've got, and their cars typically go for a premium. It's a lovely looking city car though, regardless of the seats. It certainly wouldn't look out of place on the streets of Milan, but it is known for issues with non-engine electrics, very typical. These are listed anywhere from around £2,000, and 10k gets you into a 2016 example with 40,000 miles on the clock. This is by far the rarest car on the list in the UK, so I'm not going to tell you that you have to stick to it, but the Mitsubishi Cult Ralliart version R, which was only ever released for the Japanese domestic market and a couple of others, is an insanely cool little hot hatchback that you won't find even for sale in the UK right now. However, imports are typically found between 7 to 12k from what I've seen online, and it's probably worth waiting to find one that's already here rather than dealing with the expenses of importing one from Japan. But these come with a 1.5-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine that makes 154 brake horsepower, about 7 brake horsepower more than the non-R, taking it to 60 in 7.1 seconds, again about 0.1 seconds faster than the non-R. So it's not wholly necessary to go for an R, but if you can get one, why not? Cool to have something so different out on the roads. The version R has a stiffer chassis and suspension, low profile tyres and Recaro bucket seats out of the Evo 8. They also got lighter alloys in some markets to reduce unsprung mass, a proper cool JDM car. We spoke about the Meto a couple of cars ago, now it's time for its stablemate, the Abarth 595 Competizione, a car I've driven and will probably do a review on in the not too distant future, that is probably all in one of the best value for money hot hatch city cars you can get into. That being said, it's also one of the most common, it's by no means a rare car, and I personally prefer cars that you don't see very often, but each to their own. These get the same 1.4-litre turbocharged inline-4 block that makes 180 brake horsepower in this case, taking it to 60 in 6.6 seconds, about 7/10 faster than the Meto. The Competizione comes with more power and some tweaks to the suspension and exhaust when compared with the Trofeo or other 595 examples, and it also gets a wealth of different specs, including some special editions. They'll run you around 5k at the bottom end, and 10k is enough for a 2015 model with 10k on the clock. The main thing to watch out for on them is the electrics again, and also the type of car that attracts owners who don't like to look after them very well, so there is that too. Just missing out on the top spot, another rare small hot hatchback, but one with some pretty insane performance considering, the Citroen DS3 Racing Black, a highly limited 1 of 50 car that is still very much available within our price range when you find them appear online. Here's one for £8,000 from 2011 with just 25,000 miles on the clock, for example. For that kind of money, you'll be getting yourself a 1.6-litre turbocharged inline-4 that makes 207 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.3 seconds, so we're actually getting decently quick now. It was built as a competitor to the Renault Twingo RS 200 and the Mini John Cooper works, and was supposed to capitalise on the incredible success success of Sebastian Loeb, probably the most dominant rally driver of all time. Where their competitors like Ford did a much better job of rally-inspired cars like the RS, Citroen didn't really have any history of it until this came around, and is genuinely not some little fad car. It's well equipped with its real carbon fibre used throughout the build both outside and in, and the wider body and all the rest to make it feel and look more aggressive. Taking the top spot is definitely the best overall package for under 10k, and a car that only recently dropped into our price range, the Audi S1, a car inspired by the limited edition Audi A1 Quattro. It lost a lot of the cool factor of that Quattro, but at the same time it made the car a bit more sensible and usable for city driving. You can even get it as a 5-door, though in my opinion it does look much cooler as a 3-door. Either way, you're getting yourself a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine to make 227 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 5.6 seconds, absolutely smashing everything else on this list as the only all-wheel drive car we've spoken about too. It's loosely all-wheel drive though, to be fair, mostly front-wheel drive with the rear kicking in when required, but that would still be helpful in some difficult conditions. Slipping clutches are the main known problem I could find on forums, as well as problems with the EGR valve and emission sensor, so nothing atrocious, but still worth looking out for. £9,000 will get you into one of these, and 10k gets you a 2015 model with 70,000 miles on the clock. And so there you have it, 10 hot hatch city cars for under £10,000. I hope you enjoyed. Do hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Massive thanks to patrons for the support. You guys all for watching, and go click on screen right here to see some more hot hatches for a different price range.